Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Colin and Greg Live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. My name is Colin Moriarty. This is Greg Miller. Kevin Coelho. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick Scarpino.
Yeah, that's...
Kevin Coelho is off the screen over there. Obergruppenführer Kevin Coelho.
Yeah.
Went too far again.
No, it's not too far.
Went too far.
It's not too far when it's accurate. That's the thing.
It's not like, accurate. It's not.
Stereotypes, Kevin, are only stereotypes unless they're really, really accurate to everyone involved. And we all know that you are the Obergruppenführer. Of kind of funny.
Of me.
It's just German, Kevin. We're not speaking anything else. It's just German. That's how you say it in German.
I'm cutting your mic.
I love how off that shot is too.
I know it's like
It's so like
a lot of
so
space over here. Is this the Millennium Tower? No, that's not it. Did you guys read about the Millennium Tower again recently?
What's happening now with it?
That it's getting worse.
Oh no.
And that people are saying that there's like some conjecture. First of all, no one can sell their things in there because they're worth nothing.
Yeah.
Then
because it might fall over.
People that don't know, the Millennium Tower is this massive building that was built in 2007, 2008 in San Francisco, before all these buildings started going up. So it was one of the first new prominent buildings near the bay.
Now it's dwarfed by two buildings around.
Yeah, because Salesforce is putting up everything. Anyway, this building, certain people like Joe Montana lives in there.
Yeah.
Certain other people, like famous people, live in there. The building is sinking and starting to tilt.
Yeah.
Because for people that don't know, San Francisco is 7 miles by 7 miles. And it was even smaller than that. What ended up happening in the mid to late 19th century is that people started basically putting sand and rocks and debris around the edges, especially in the bay, to extend it out. So the marina and Cow Hollow and parts like that are not even really naturally part of San Francisco, which is why they were destroyed in the earthquake in 1906.
Yeah, like landfill.
So this building is apparently on some sort of sand, wet sand. So first of all, water is already leaking in to the basement. They showed in the garages, and they showed all of this footage of this. It's getting fucked up.
Not good.
And the building's starting to sink and tilt. It's sunk like 19 inches or something like that.
Is the news done?
Yes. And so anyway, I was reading about it, and they were saying like this building might not it's not like a problem like where it's like this building's maybe gonna collapse or fall at some point.
That would be terrifying.
If there's an earthquake.
When we're talking about a big building
Yes.
too. This is not like a 3-story apartment complex like I live in. This is like 20-story skyscraper, high rise.
Oh, it's bigger than 20 stories.
And it's
huge.
Oh no,
if that thing
it's like 54 stories.
is it really? Jesus Christ. But I mean, if that thing goes, it's taking the next building over with it. You know what I mean?
So what's funny about it, Nick, that you might find interesting, and Kevin, I think we talked about this in the past, was that they're blaming it. They don't know what the problem is. They're blaming it on the sediment, and the builders are saying like it's not our fault. And then they're like, well, there are two things going on around it. They're building this massive train terminal next to it and excavating the ground, and then they're building Salesforce's skyscraper, which is going to be the biggest building in San Francisco.
Gigantic.
And some people are saying like they're actually fucking this building up because
last I heard, that's a lie. That it's not that the new buildings are causing any issues. It's that when it was originally constructed, corners were cut, poor decisions were made.
This is fascinating. This is gonna be a fascinating story to tell because who knows? Who knows, right? We'll see. I mean, clearly,
engineers.
But if you're the contractor, right? If you're the person responsible for like the building and or like the insurance company, right? You're gonna want to put that blame on every single person possible, right? So obviously the contractors are like, it's not our fault, it's the other building's fault. Well, and the insurance company's probably like, it's the contractor's fault.
No, I think it's the city saying that.
Oh, it's the city saying that?
Yeah, because what's happening now is that like giant garden thing they're building right next to Salesforce?
Sure.
Where it's gonna be a muni station.
I haven't seen it from like a sky. I just seen it.
It's gonna be a muni station that looks really cool.
Cool.
The city is subsidizing like $7 million for that. And they suddenly were like, no, not anymore. Not until this gets cleared by that building.
That's tremendously dangerous, though, right? Like,
that's why they're not paying for it.
No, that's bad.
Or they're stopping payment for
it. You hear this all the time, by the way, because my wife has a lot of, she deals with a lot of rich clients who buy new apartments in these places, in these brand new buildings. And at first they seem amazing. You don't know, you buy them, and then lo and behold, this is not the first time this has happened where someone's cut corners and like roofs are leaking or buildings are tipping and things like that. It's fucking despicable. But and especially given how much you probably paid to live in this tower, right? I mean, this is not like
they were saying that the building's like it's like $3,000 a square foot to buy something there.
Christ.
Or was $3,000 a square foot. I'm trying to find because the not that this has anything to do with our news at all, but it's an interesting. I'm gonna put it in the chat or in the pad there, Kevin. I'll put it at the very top for you. Just because the pictures are really amazing that they have. Like, there's some fucked up shit going on in this building. And it's not that old. It's not even a decade old. So I put it in there for
My
you.
mom.
Also, FYI, everyone that works the front desk, really mean.
Oh yeah, total dick. Every
They
time.
all hate Kevin.
Yeah.
Now, does that make me hate them or like them more? Any given day. You know what I mean? Any given day.
So
Could be one or the other.
Kevin, open that story and then scroll down. People should read this, by the way. It's a really fascinating article. It's super long. Scroll. Keep going. Go.
Put this. Can you put the link in the chat?
Wait. Stop. Go up. So this is like one of the
shit.
garages that they're like trying to fix the waters. Go up one more picture too. They show.
Sorry, I'm putting the link.
Oh, it's okay. Like this is like a close up of what's going on.
God, that's terrible. That's
And then
bad water damage.
keep going down, and then go down more. So this is so they put these things on the building that are like basically
like this
tracking like how much
cable?
they're like I think they're
yeah.
tracking like how much they're
Gross.
spreading apart
Oh,
from each
no.
other. Like
Terrifying.
there's if you keep going there's like this is just
Water.
in one of the floors like just water coming in
That's
from the ground.
because that's just gonna put. That's fucking stunning. I'd still live there.
Yeah, but look
I
at these
don't care.
places.
They're
that-
gorgeous. Oh no, I've been in the tower. I've seen it. It's gorgeous. They're gorgeous. But like who wouldn't want to live there? It's just sad that they fucked up the construction of it. It's one of those things where like it's a double-edged sword. You get in when you can get in, when the prices are whatever they are, and then you just don't know. You just don't know.
Anyway, totally unrelated to anything we do, but we don't really do anything on the show anyway.
No, not really.
Go read it. It's an interesting story. I read it on, I don't know when I read it. I read it yesterday on the train or something like that.
So do you think they fixed this building and now is the perfect time to buy as much space?
That's what
as
some people are
possible?
saying.
I don't think they have a choice. They have to fix it, right? It's
Yeah,
either they
no.
fix it or the building collapses. So I think now would be a great time to buy in that building. I would totally do it. But I mean, they have to. I mean, knowing fully well that you're getting it at a depressed rate
Yeah.
for a reason, and it's a huge risk. But like, what's the downside? It collapses, and everyone dies inside of it
Yeah.
in like a cataclysmic event that's
Well,
similar
no,
to like
Nick,
9/11.
you buy it and rent it out, and then put insurance, and then when it
You
goes
could.
down, you get the insurance money, and you
Yeah.
hope those people weren't there.
You pray they don't sue you in the building. Like
Yeah,
the family.
No, they can't sue you.
You just
can't
you know what you
sue.
do is you rent to people who don't have families. You specifically rent to like orphans who just are transients that want to live here, and like maybe they're tech guys like Dexter, and they can just like they kill people on the side or whatever. It doesn't matter, but you rent to them, and that way if they die, no one's around to sue you. I like this plan. Let's talk about this offline.
So the interesting kind of end note to this is that, and this is the scary part, is that they were saying the insurance across all the building and then and all that kind of stuff is spread out over multiple insurance companies.
Oh,
so
that's a nightmare.
And that the companies that there's no way in hell the companies are going to pay this without having to be sued. So
No,
they were
yeah.
saying like there's no real solution to this, and that the building they expect. So they were saying a unit was sold in there recently at like a fire sale, and the guy was basically convinced that they are going to fix the problem. But they say it's going to cost many tens of millions of dollars to get under there and like prop the building up and do all these kinds of things, and that if there's an earthquake before then it could be very bad news for that building. So anyway, I thought it was an interesting kind of story you guys can check out. It has nothing to do with anything. More apropos,
Yeah.
the Neo, NIOH Neo, some people are confused about that. The embargo's up. I played it for about 5 hours. First of all, it's getting great reviews. I think it's a really fun game. I'm not very good at it. But it's a fun game. It's got an Onimusha vibe in terms of its environments, but it's not really, as we knew, not really an Onimusha game. It's Ninja Gaiden which is not a huge surprise since Team Ninja made this game. Ninja Gaiden meets Dark Souls. It is a way quicker Dark Souls, and I really, really enjoy that. Dark Souls is so plodding and slow, and frankly, not very fun for me. I liked Bloodborne because it got a little quicker and a little more arcadey. This game is very arcadey. And so I think you guys, if you understand what you're expecting there and whatnot, I think you're going to like it. I'm really looking forward to dumping some more time into it tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, etc.
Very cool.
So I wanted to give everyone a heads up on that. An opposite heads up is that I also downloaded Double Dragon 4 a few days ago. It's only $7. Arc System Works put it out. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now, I can't stop playing it because it's Double Dragon, but it's just so fucking bad. I think IGN gave it a 3.5. I'm like, it's so
What's so bad about it?
It's... People are like, well, it's an old game. Double Dragon was never that good to begin with. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. Double Dragon was awesome. This game just doesn't feel right. It doesn't have any design aesthetic. It doesn't, the different characters are weird. The hitboxes are strange. There seem to be no rules about how you get damage. It's like, it's not the combat that's necessarily broken. It's just not very fun. So just keep that in mind in case you're going to download that. Although you might like it, I don't know. Kevin?
See.
Did you say C?
Let's see. Should we get into the news?
Wait, before we do that.
Oh, okay.
Two things.
Oh,
One,
Nick
obviously.
has something to say.
Welcome to Kind of Funny Morning Show. We post this on YouTube after this. So if you can't watch it live, please go watch it on YouTube. Kindoffunny.com or youtube.com/kindoffunny. Also, we are on iTunes, SoundCloud, podcast services everywhere. So if you'd rather hear us instead of see our beautiful faces, you can do that. Please go subscribe over there on the podcast service of your choice. Kevin, more importantly,
I'm confused. Is this not Colin and Greg Live?
this is not Colin and Greg Live. We don't call it that anymore. It's called the Kind of Funny Morning Show. Colin likes to be, I guess the term I would use is obtuse, maybe. I don't know. He likes to go against the, what's the term when you go against the system?
Hipster.
No.
I would say anti-establishment.
Yeah, anti-establishment. He's very anti-establishment.
Hipster's really more of a style.
Yeah, hipster, you're not against anything, really. You don't stand for anything. When you're
I don't
hipster.
stand for literally anything.
You just wear really skinny jeans and cool boots that I envy. Kevin, the more important thing I was going to ask you is yesterday we had a crisis, okay? We ended the show, and I said to both of you, where are we getting lunch? And both of you said, I can't get lunch today. And I didn't know what to do with myself. So my question for you, Colin, you probably can't, but Kevin.
I'm in.
All right, cool.
Where do you want to go?
Los Patates.
I mean, maybe.
Bill Burger.
What burger?
Bill Burger? Built?
Built?
Built.
No, we haven't been there in a while.
When all that over?
Might
My
be
first instinct was Los Matates.
All right, Los Patates.
Oh, I'm
it
in
is.
Los Matates. I didn't know you were in.
Woo!
That was what I was thinking.
We're in.
Love Los Patates. You know how I feel about that place, Kevin.
Okay.
How can you say there's no food when we've got Los Matates?
Los Patates is in Colma.
Yeah, but that's a 5-minute drive. We get in the car, 5 minutes from then, we're there.
Los Matates!
Is parking hard? Sure.
It's usually not as hard as we made it the other day, though.
We
It's
made it
usually-
hard.
You get to park right in the Planet Fitness thing. They're going to get away with murder in that place. You
Yeah,
know
but
what I'm
then
saying?
I never fuck around with that.
I don't fuck around.
with that,
They'll
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
They know people. Like
There's
they
an
have
archery
to.
store there, too.
That's true.
We should go buy some bows.
I like knocking an arrow every once in a while.
Me too. They got rentals. You want to go shoot some arrows today?
When I was in high school, we had archery class, which is funny. I can't imagine that exists anymore. Like, I'm surprised no one, and people used to just take
Oh my
the arrows and
God.
shoot them into the ceiling in the gym. And you know how the gym ceiling is like 100 feet high?
Yeah.
And so for years, there's just arrows sticking out of things up there.
Did they
For
just
years.
occasionally fall down?
I assume so.
That's awesome.
I loved that. I used to think it was so funny. I loved archery.
Archery, dangerous sport, but fun. Do you think people enjoy? I often wonder this about our content, right? Because let's be perfectly honest, we make fairly mediocre to shitty content most of the time.
A lot of people.
Except for Colin was right, which is awesome. Go,
Colin was
move
right.
on.
But you put a lot of thought and effort in that.
Still
The likes of
pretty
which
shitty.
we don't do in most of our other podcast content. I often wonder why people watch this particular show. Like, we do give you the news, which is cool, and you get some perspectives. But for the most part, it's just us talking about complete non sequiturs and where we're going to have lunch for a good 45 minutes. Then we talk 5 minutes.
Then we
about
try to
this.
get through the news as quickly
Yeah,
as possible because we're running out of time.
And then we give Kevin shit for like another 15 minutes. Then we go.
Arbitrary time limit. Yeah. No, I agree.
Maybe it's
I'm-
comforting for people. I don't know.
When I came up with the idea for the Colin and Greg Live, the original show, I didn't know what it was going to be, but I didn't know it was going to be this.
Right. You were just like, it's not.
Well, it's similar to the Game Over Greggy show, right? Like when I came up with the format for Game Over Greggy show,
Right.
I didn't realize that was going to be so popular with
Right.
people, and that it was going to allow us to, it feeds very well into our Patreon technique. We used it with the Gamescast, all that kind of stuff. So there's some good ideas out there
Right.
that Colin came up with. But this show might be the biggest albatross we've ever come up with. Self-inflicted wound we've ever indeed forced ourselves now going on 3 years doing. But
It's working though. People are liking it. People are liking the fact that we're posting it to YouTube. We were just talking about that before. Like, we're getting a lot of the international audience watching this at work, wasting their time at work as well.
This is
wasting their
mostly for
employers'
those
money.
Europeans out there.
Yeah.
Mostly.
So, hola. Que como dice? That's what they say in. That's what they say in England, right?
They do say something
Don't
like
you
that.
have
in
a
England.
new? Didn't they get you a new cup? We got you a new cup. It's on your desk. And I quote, "I hate this cup, but it's the only one here, so we got you a new one."
I figure out what the problem is.
Fan got him a new one, Nick.
Whatever. Who cares who got it? I'll take credit for it, Kevin. That's what I do in this organization.
I feel like the problem is that there's multiple problems with the water bottle. The big problem is that water coalesces on the lip here. So when you drink it, drips that aren't even coming out of the spout drip onto yourself.
You need a little rag to wipe
Like
it down.
I guess so, but what I'm saying is like, how did this get through? Did someone make the mold of this and never try it?
Oh, probably not. Probably. Also,
so
is that one of those
why does
BPH
it-
free like things, or are you just getting poisoned?
Yeah,
from
BPA
all-
free.
Yeah.
Why does it spill when you drink it out of the cap?
Because that's the other thing is that the lip, like, it doesn't need to be this wide.
so wide.
I'm not a big mouth bass. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't need.
You don't know that for sure.
I'm more of a
might be a big
marlin
mouth bass.
with a small mouth.
Yep.
What are you doing?
I'm resetting the shots. You guys don't like it.
Well, it's not that we don't like it. It's just
Good that you took you
fundamentally
16 minutes for you to get the energy to do that one, Kevin. That was only said at the top of the show, but
Kevin's
thank
just
God it's 11:16.
What happened was he was like Los Metates, and then he was like, it just takes so much effort to take my feet off the desk. You know what I mean? When I'm Kevin, it's just too hard to take my feet off the desk.
Well, Kevin's a creature of habit.
You're still not centered, but like that's on purpose for aesthetics reasons. Look,
We're also pretty close together. I mean, farther apart, rather. We could be a little closer together, then we would be centered. Also,
I like being far because I feel like
oh,
you
you're
see
out
you.
of focus. Holy shit!
Really
Wait,
out of
wait.
focus.
Sit back.
I'm in focus here.
Yeah, you're in focus there. But
Should I
I
just
stay
mean,
do
like
the-
that.
Should I just do the show like this?
you spend I mean, you're exaggerating it. If you just lean back like you were literally 2 seconds ago. Yes.
All right, let's get into the news.
Let's go. Let's go talk some news. I want to talk news. I'm excited about this.
Oh, and props to everyone that burned Berkeley to the ground last night. That was really productive. All right.
Is that what happened last night? I didn't read about that. More protests?
Yeah.
Really violent.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Remember when Berkeley used to march about free speech and protect free speech?
Remember when they
And
marched
then they
about-
became exactly what they hated? Those were the days. Watching that happen before our very eyes was fun.
Oh, Jesus
If these
Christ.
people are so righteous, why do they cover their faces? By the way,
So
why are
don't
they
get
so
arrested.
scared? Let everyone see. I mean, you're fighting the powers that be for the freedom of all, right? So show your faces. Oh no, you're a pussy, so you won't do that.
Damn.
Okay. This is a big one, Kevin. This first story. Timothy Poon
Okay.
and Brian Crescente write, Polygon write, Oculus lawsuit ends with $500 million judgment awarded to ZeniMax. ZeniMax, of course, is the parent company of Bethesda. Says a Dallas, Texas jury today awarded $500 million to ZeniMax after finding that Oculus co-founder Palmer Luckey, and by extension Oculus, failed to comply with a non-disclosure agreement he signed. And awarding ZeniMax $500 million, the jury also said that Oculus did not misappropriate trade secrets as contended by ZeniMax. So basically, I'm not going to read the whole story. Basically what happened here, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, Nick, is... So what basically... Hold on, let me see if it's in here in a more... No, okay. Is it? No. All right, so John Carmack is one of the co-founders of id, along with Romero, right?
Yep.
Carmack was at id for a very long time, even after Bethesda acquired id. At id, Carmack was working on VR stuff, some proprietary VR stuff. For people that don't know, Carmack is like super insane about technology. That's why Wolfenstein and Doom were these very advanced games. He's obsessed with 60 frames a second, obsessed with the fidelity of games. Romero was more like the creative guy. So, and they have not worked together for many years. Carmack then left and went to Facebook, and Oculus hired him or whatever to work on things. And the argument with ZeniMax is that he basically just took stuff that he did at ZeniMax and then just brought it over, and that stuff is in Oculus.
Okay.
So ZeniMax sued Facebook and for billions of dollars and got a fraction of what they asked for, but still a big haul of money. That's basically boiling it down. It is a way more complicated case than that. And so you guys can go read about it. I don't want to get too into it.
That's crazy.
But that's a big piece of news. And I was thinking about doing Colin was right about it, but I can't do another complicated Colin was right.
Yeah,
I just can't.
Why don't you not? Let's shoot for like a 5-minute episode.
I mean, you can plan it for like 3 weeks from now. Do slow research. Maybe record 2 in one day.
See. The thing was is that
Because that was good, man. I really enjoyed this last Colin was right. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, it's doing great. But the problem with the editing was fine. It took like, I would say 10 hours to edit.
Yeah.
It was the writing that was hard and the research that was hard. In terms, I have so many fucking email chains going for this one. It would remind me of back when I was at IGN. So the most complicated project I've probably ever done outside of the history of pieces that I wrote. So I hope, go check it out and support it, please. And if you want more of them like that, then please share this one, get the views up, show me that you want to see more like that, and I'll do more like this. If this one doesn't do that well, then I'm never going to do this again. Because the same old Nintendo is less than half the length, took me a fraction of time, and is like 160,000 views. So
I know your audience.
People are thirsty on Nintendo news. Everybody wants to know what's going on with the Switch and Nintendo.
do you think Timothy Poon would want?
I think Timothy Poon can have whatever Timothy Poon wants with a name like that. get into it.
Nature, wish you were saying the name.
We're not saying it was. That's the man's name, Kevin. There's nothing sexual about that.
We both know you're saying it in a sexual way.
It's short for harpoon. Of the Boston, Massachusetts Harpoons.
By the way, two notes.
It's been a long week.
2 notes.
Yeah, give it to me.
We talked about how this show, Colin and Greg Live, is available now on podcast services.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing some people complaining that the show doesn't work as a podcast.
Yeah.
I fucking told you that for 2 years.
Yeah, definitely doesn't work.
But nonetheless, no one wanted to listen.
I haven't seen anyone say it. I've seen a lot of people tweeting at me saying thank you for putting.
People
it on
are
podcast.
thankful for it, but there are people also, Kevin, that are saying that it doesn't work, and I'm like, but I told you that it doesn't work.
Yeah, but like those people shouldn't be fucking listening to it as a podcast, you know?
Whatever. That's why we put it on YouTube, everyone.
Point two.
And it's on Twitch. Three places to watch it.
People want Colin was right on podcast services. Just don't think that's going to happen.
Not ever.
So.
Not ever. That's stupid.
That's not.
If
a
you
good
think
product,
that, you're dumb.
I mean, it's just not. I mean, it's not a super visual show. It could conceivably work. It's just that you want it, so I don't want to do it. It's basically.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
basically, you know.
No, I think the visual components are really important. I think that. I really think that like that's a crucial part of it.
I feel like.
And people that don't understand that are just stupid.
I'm not your
fact.
monkey just going to dance for you. You understand?
Colin doesn't want to be put in the corner, and you can't put Colin in the corner. He won't do it. He's not going to dance for you. He's not a monkey. He's not that little monkey with the symbols from Monkey Shines. Not going to do it. Unless you tell him you don't want it. Then he's going to cram that down your throat. Or maybe he won't. I don't know.
Cram something down your throat.
Colin is a very complex human being. Probably the most complex human being I've ever met in my entire life, if I'm being honest. Kevin, on the other hand, very simple human being.
Oh, he's simple. Very simple. What is this? The map.
Analytics for Friday's morning show.
So, America.
61%.
Big audience in Alaska.
What about UK?
13% in the
Yeah,
UK.
see, I figured the UK would be the bigger, or a big percentage of it.
How about Peru?
Not on the list.
I see Argentina's on
Is
there.
that South Africa? Who's watching us in South Africa?
Where are you seeing South? I don't think it's South
Third
Africa.
from the top or third from the bottom?
Oh yeah, you're right. That's South Africa.
Damn, that's awesome. We got a small contingent in South. I want to go to South Africa.
58 people in South Africa.
Yeah, boy. Meet and greet. Johannesburg.
Yeah, but like surprisingly, majority United States. I thought Europe would be a little bit higher.
It might be if we translated it.
No,
I don't think
I'm
most people in
looking-
Europe even have electricity.
I'm looking at the numbers here. It goes UK, Canada, Australia, then Ireland, but Ireland drops down to 1.4% already.
Well, there's only like 3 people in Ireland still. It's Amy Gills and her parents.
That's it.
And
That's all.
Danny O'Dwyer's like whatever off spawn he's got still going in there. I thought he was moving back. Weren't we deporting him at a certain point?
Nick,
Well, I mean, we're going to deport him soon, I
for
assume.
God's sakes.
He's married to an American. He can't go anywhere.
I know,
Is he
it's
married
true.
to an American?
No, I'm just teasing.
Good
I
for
think he
him.
was. I'm just teasing. He's not going anywhere.
What'd you say?
Danny O'Dwyer's awesome.
Huh? I said good for him.
Yeah, he
Gotta
did
stay
marry-
somehow.
Marrying up.
Better do that before they take that off the books, too. Kevin.
They can always retroactively go fix that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They can do whatever they want. Trump can do whatever he wants. It's great.
Gotta get rid of
Freedom.
birthright citizenship. That's one of the things I think we gotta get rid
That's
of.
crazy. You're a crazy man for that.
Why? Don't we that
That's why your
interpretation?
family is American. Because at some point, someone came here and they had a kid. And
Yeah.
My family came
Sure.
here before birthright citizenship was a thing, but
Mine did.
that comes from
No, what I'm saying is just your family came here from another place,
yeah.
chilled here for a while, boom. Now they're Americans.
Spit a couple people
My
out.
family came here,
America.
chilling for a while. Someday, my kids will be like, what? We're as American as they come. We're 3 generations.
You're pretty
then,
American.
But then Danny O'Dwyer gets to have a child that's American.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that makes sense. Guess what?
But he's
gonna
Irish.
grow 'em with no.
I can't imagine Danny O'Dwyer having a child who's not Irish.
You're Italian.
Oh, Michelle.
you know, you've got Italian heritage.
Not really.
Yeah, I mean he talks about it all the time.
I've never heard it.
What?
I mean, the only thing I hear come out of Colin's mouth is that he hates mustard. He's got this ongoing war against mustard, which is why I'm on.
It's because they
I'm
didn't
set
have
to
it
be
in
on a fucking
Italy. It's
spaceship
because they
to
didn't have mustard in
Alpha
Italy,
Romeo
Nick.
Prime or wherever he told me. Andromeda.
But the interesting thing about birthright citizenship, why I think it needs to be spelled out more clearly, or like it needs to be legislated on in some respect, is that it comes from the amendment that was designed to give slaves citizenship. That's where the whole argument's derived from. But that wasn't the intention of it at all.
Sure.
So is there a loose construction or strict construction argument?
But when they made the First Amendment, no one was like, these sons of bitches are going to burn flags. You know what I mean? Yet here we are burning our flags.
I say burn a flag all you want.
It's
so weird that anyone would think that that should be legislated. Who cares? Doesn't mean anything. Just burn it.
Well, no, it means a lot, and that's why.
Well, it has deep personal meaning for some people, but it is a piece of fabric that you should be able to burn or wipe your ass with if you want. That's fine with me.
I mean, as long as you do it for the right reasons, you are legally allowed to like burn it, right? You're not just supposed to destroy it for fun.
You're supposed to destroy a flag under certain
statement,
circumstances. I think if it hits the ground or something like that.
You're right. Once it touches the ground. Laws are weird. Some of them.
Burn. You know, so here's an idea. The guys that were destroying property and attacking people with their masks on yesterday, they should wrap themselves in a flag and burn it.
Jesus Christ. That
Next
would result in their death.
Sony financials are out. This is always an interesting thing.
Ooh, get through it. Let's get to it.
Let's see.
I'm tired of all this shenanigans. Let's get to some real hard-hitting news. Here's the commentary you want, people.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Brian Ashcraft over at Kotaku writes, Sony's video game business is doing very well. Thank you. It's an interesting thing. It says PlayStation 4 just had the best 3 months ever. Bloomberg reports. Today, Sony released its financials for the quarter ending on December 31st. The gaming business did great, and here's what Sony had to say. Quote, sales increased 5.2% year on year. And the increase was primarily due to an increase in PlayStation 4 software sales, including sales through the network and the contribution of PlayStation VR, which was launched in October 2016, partially offset by the impact of foreign exchange rates, as well as the impact of a price reduction for PS4 hardware. During the past quarter, Sony sold 9.7 million PS4 consoles worldwide, which is more than the 8.4 million sold during the same period in 2015. It's also the most Sony has sold in any quarter to date. For context, during the second quarter of 2016, the PS4 sold 3.9 million worldwide. In the first quarter of 2016, it sold 3.5 million worldwide. As of January 1st this year, the console's install base hit 53.4 million. So I was seeing evidence that they were saying that the install base is something more akin to like 57 million now. This console's not stopping. And I think it's pretty safe that it's going to hit 100 million and become the second best-selling PlayStation console, and the second best-selling console overall, I think.
Quick question for you.
PS2?
Yeah, PS2's at 152, I think.
That's crazy.
What's up?
Does the Slim and the Pro, like, do both their sales just count towards the normal PlayStation 4 numbers?
That is a good question. It has to, right? They'll accumulate in the same bucket.
Yeah, presumably. It depends on if they're trying to hide the numbers or not. When Vita came out, we never got Vita sales after like the first report because they just started combining them with PSP sales to inflate the number. So that's why to this day no one really knows how much Vita sold. The number conjecture is about 14 million, as opposed to Nintendo, which no matter how badly things sell, they'll tell you the numbers, which I respect. They talk about everything. We know how. That's what's so great about Nintendo. We know how all of their games sold.
Interesting.
Like if you go and look at like Zelda sales, for instance, you can go back all the way to the NES and see how all of the Zeldas have sold. To a T. It's really, really cool. But Sony doesn't do that. Microsoft, Xbox One, there's been no Xbox One numbers since 2014.
Really?
Yep. We get numbers of Xbox One because EA and other publishers occasionally let it slip. They'll say like there's 100 million units in the wild right now. And everyone's like, okay, like 100 million next-gen consoles in the wild. So everyone's like, okay, we know PS4 sold this much, and therefore just subtract it, and that's how many Xbox Ones are sold. That's literally how the numbers are garnered right now.
And is that because they just don't want to share it because they're losing this?
Yeah, during Xbox 360, we got numbers every 5 fucking seconds, if everyone remembers. Like every minute they were saying how much, nothing for almost 3 years.
Interesting.
Yep. So interesting kind of stuff there.
Well, congratulations, you're winning.
Well, it's not my company, I don't really care.
Well, Sony's up 6%. I'm winning.
Oh, you have Sony stock?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, back
you
when
have domestic Sony stock, or you have Sony stock in
domestic Sony stock? Back when shit went bad, when their stock dropped like fucking a quarter its price, I bought a whole bunch. Instead of buying a PS4, I bought some stock. It has since doubled.
What other companies do you own stock in? You own Google.
Google, Apple, Disney.
You have a bunch of blue chips.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that you own Apple, seeing how much you hate Apple.
Oh, yeah, I hate Apple. I love money, however.
You're just an opportunist, really.
So that has gone up nearly 25% since I bought it, so.
Yeah.
And I don't have a little of it.
I didn't realize this, but I guess there was a news story out the other day. I guess iPhone 7 is one of the best-selling iPhones to date.
Yeah, they're all the best-selling iPhones because people everyone just wants a new version.
That's
of it.
crazy to me.
Yeah,
I would have thought that those sales would have dropped off, but I guess that and the fact that
think
they're
that
more
the-
expensive than they used to be. But I guess they're doing just as good as they always have.
There was one where it did not do as good as the previous years.
That was probably the 6S, I would guess.
It might. Has there been a 7 Plus yet?
There is a 7 Plus, yeah.
It might have been this year then.
No, I just saw one that said the 7 is the best generation. I just saw a report on that on The Verge.
The 7, does that include the 7 Plus?
Oh, I think whatever this newest generation
newest
was.
generation?
Yeah, but I just saw the headline. I didn't read the actual article, so in typical me fashion, I could be completely talking out of my ass. But if you looked it up, that'd be cool. It's just fascinating because to me, the notion that Apple is still selling well is kind of foreign to me. I don't understand why people still are that diehard about the brand, but I guess they are. It's not the most expensive company on the planet for nothing.
Kevin,
Yep.
there is a supplemental story that you already have here from GameSpot. Eddie over GameSpot has just supplemental information, kind of talking about the same information here via DualShockers about PS4 Pro and VR. It says, quote, this is from Sony itself. It says, quote, PS4 Pro is running as we had expected, as we assumed, but Pro maybe is doing more than we anticipated. So it seems like if Sony's telling the truth here, and I don't see why they wouldn't, that Pro is actually exceeding their expectations. Likewise...
For sales or performance?
For sales.
Okay.
Likewise, it seems like PSVR is doing what they expect as well. So maybe a little drama around these two pieces of hardware that not necessarily merited based on what Sony's saying, also based on the healthy financials. It is worth noting, though, that the financials I don't think are as strong as people expected, considering the performance of PlayStation. They're still making a profit and are in the black, but it seems like poor foreign exchange rates, as was mentioned earlier, is going to hurt them because they are dealing in yen, which is not a good thing for them. If they were dealing solely in American dollars as an American company, they would be doing way better. There is a follow-up to yesterday's GameStop story from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku. As you remember, Nick, yesterday we talked about how GameStop, and you guys can go back and read, GameStop's basically lying or having its employees lie to people about the availability of new hardware and new software in order to meet these quotas, since their margins are much bigger on used hardware and used software as opposed to selling new things, and the margins there are much smaller. We talk about that actually in today's column, right? If you want to check that out, the margins. So Jason writes this. Says, this afternoon following yesterday's Kotaku report on GameStop's controversial Circle of Life program, the retail chain sent out a memo to all stores condemning some of the actions we spotlighted and claiming that most of their employees don't behave that way. The full memo says this. Quote, Dear GameStop family, I want to take a moment to address an article that called into question our Circle of Life program and the exceptional service we provide our customers every day. In the article, there were behaviors described that indicated our Circle of Life program placed pressure on store associates to mislead customers on the value of certain products. Let me be clear on this, nothing can be further from the truth. You and I know at GameStop, it is absolutely our mission to help our customers get the best advice and price on any product we sell through buying, trading, pre-ordering, and earning points. We want every customer to get the product and the deal that is right for them, whether that be new or pre-owned video game product, digital sale, or collectible. The Circle of Life generates great value for the customer. Consider these facts. GameStop issued approximately $1 billion of trade credits to our customers last year. 70% of the time, those trade dollars were immediately spent on new gaming products. I've heard how many of you are concerning this and know that you work very hard to make sure our customers have a great experience. Thank you for that. While this behavior described in the news articles are disappointing, I know they don't represent the vast majority of our associates and how they treat our customers. So there's a follow-up there. It still doesn't quite resonate or sync up at all with Jason's reporting, though.
Now, the issue yesterday was that they were incentivized to dissuade people from buying new gaming and new games and new hardware.
Right. According to Jason, the Circle of Life program at GameStop is split into 4 segments. The segments, I believe, are something like pre-owned games and et cetera and so on. They need to hit 3 or 4 of those quotas, which requires them not to, or encourages them
to push the
de
older
facto
hardware.
to not
Right.
push new hardware and new software. And in fact, according to these sources that Jason had talked to, people just straight up lie about the availability of these games in order to push the used product. For instance, he brought up Watch Dogs 2, I think, which is $54.99 used and $30 new. But they make more, the margin of selling the game.
Wait, did you flip those?
No, I didn't.
54. It's more expensive to get used.
Right, because Watch Dogs is so much. Watch Dogs had a huge price cut.
Okay.
That might be the used game price might be latent. Typically at
Interesting,
GameStop,
okay.
if for a newer game, you're only getting $5 off the product, even though they'll only pay you whatever $30. So the margin there is much bigger. The rip of, for people that don't know, and I talked about this and Colin was right, the rip of a retailer typically is about $12 on a $60 game new within the first 90 to 120 days after it is sold. The other $48 goes to the publisher to pay their bills. $8 of that goes to the person who, or the company whose hardware is being sold. $5 or so goes to the manufacturers, et cetera, and so on.
Right.
So that's how the breakdown goes. So since the margin is so small at a $60 game, $12, they look at it as saying, well, if we have a $54.99 used game that we paid $25 for, the margin there is $30.
It's thick. Okay. So basically, just it boils down to margins and profits.
Yes.
Your margins are just way better on used hardware. Got it. Makes sense. That is an interesting business.
It's it makes me question their viability. This is a desperate company. Like I understand that they're changing or whatever, but I saw a story yesterday. Electronic Arts reported that a full 1/3 of their games sold now are digital. 1/3. Remember that the benchmark only a year and a half ago was 10%. GameStop's in a lot of trouble with this kind of stuff. It's happening. It's happening.
Not just
before our eyes.
GameStop. I feel like it's just any brick and mortar company that's selling actual physical hardware is going. Or sorry, physical games rather.
I think GameStop specifically. Oh, I see. You're saying any game store.
Well, I'm just saying any game store you walk in and try to get. I mean, digital distribution has been on the rise for the last 10 years. That's just going to be. This is something I'm sure they're combating every day and trying to figure out strategies for. Hence the sort of internal shift towards selling those used products.
And also
would be my guess. I mean, I'm not discrediting them or disparaging
well, they've sold
them at all.
used for a long time,
Yeah.
but definitely emphasizing that more, along
Sure.
with collectibles and toys and all that kind of stuff, which is a huge part of the GameStop business now, along with their mobile market, which is Cricket, I think, is a GameStop subsidiary, combined with their publishing arm, Game Trust. Now they're trying to publish games. So if you wanted to get the new game Deformers from the guys that made The Order 1886, Ready at Dawn, you can only buy that at GameStop or digitally. Same thing with the Insomniac game Song of the Deep. So they're trying. I give them credit for trying, but it's this business is a dead end. Like it is totally good. What happened to the PC market is going to happen to the console market. It's just way slower than I think we expected.
But
no one buys PC games in store. No one.
Well, but I feel like then this is why this behooves retailers like GameStop to try to figure it out, right? Obviously, clearly they're trying to evolve, and this is the growing pains of that. So we'll see what happens.
Someone also pointed out they own Congregate. That's true. Our good friend that we used to work with at IGN works at Congregate, and that's like a flash game, mobile game kind of provider. And now they're getting into some more serious publishing as well. We were talking a little bit about that with our friend there when we were at GameStop Expo in Anaheim. I think that was back in September. So that's that story there, in case everyone's curious. The final story I have, and then we'll move into the entertainment stuff you've dug up here.
Sure.
You have some interesting entertainment stories. The Last Guardian, just in case you're curious and you want to buy it, The Last Guardian's price cut from $60 to $40, which has happened very recently in the last couple of days, is permanent. The game clearly has bombed. So if you want to go get that, whether new or at PSN, you should be able to get a pretty good deal on it. And I think $40 is a pretty appropriate price for it. But even though the game didn't resonate with me, even though I think that the fact that they even went about this decade-long journey to make this game is a joke, I'm glad that people like it. But it is sad that the game clearly has just abjectly bombed. You don't see a permanent $20 price cut for a game that came out a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
So
you have to assume they were assuming that, right? You have to assume that given the lineage of the game and how long it took to develop, that they were just like, this is a risk.
I would love
putting
to know.
this out. It's gonna be let's see how this one goes.
I would love to know how much money they lost on it. Like, is it
a 10 years of development cycle? A lot. They took a big loss on this one.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume like past a certain threshold, they're like, we just got to get this game out. We got to recoup some of these expenses, some of this loss. They have to. Well, I would love to see how much. Yeah, that would be fascinating to see how much.
You see price cuts with games that aren't doing well recently that are quicker. Titanfall 2 didn't do well, got a quick price cut. Watch Dogs 2 didn't do well, got a quick price cut. This is just, if The Last Guardian was selling at $60, it would stay at $60. You're not going to find many. You can Doom and Uncharted 4 and all those kinds of games. If you go into GameStop right now, are probably still $60. They came out long before The Last Guardian because they're selling at $60. So I think The Last Guardian should have always been sold at $40, and I think that it would have sold better. Similar to Ratchet & Clank, which was actually 5,000 times better than The Last Guardian, but sold at $40 new and charted.
That game was good. That game was really good.
It's very, very good. Yeah. If you guys haven't played Ratchet & Clank, that came out almost a year ago on PS4, the kind of reboot of the original, go check that out.
Yeah, I got into that game. I don't know why. It's fun, though. I mean, I know why. It's fun. It's a great game. It's beautifully designed, and it's fun.
And speaking of, we brought up Doom. Speaking of Doom and Bethesda, the Pete Hines episode with Greg should go live tonight, I think, for our subscribers, as well as the Game Over Greg show. That was quite rambunctious, if I do say so myself. Before we get into the next story, should we read some tips?
Sure. You want me to take care of that?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay, sounds good. We have a lot of tips today. I'll go through them as quickly as I possibly can. You Look Digital says, do you guys think Trump's new policies create an increase of tariffs on bongos? I certainly hope not.
I don't know. What is the bongo tariff situation, Kevin?
Everybody knows bongos are made domestic. It's just a rumor they're made overseas.
Well, technically, yeah, you were made domestically, right? No, you were made overseas, Kevin.
I was made domestically. I was born overseas.
Okay,
Well, it was
so-
not really overseas.
Well, I mean, this is a
south.
complex issue. So, I mean, technically speaking, there might need to be a tariff on bongos, but probably not.
I don't think you understand how bongos work. It's not my body, Nick.
I don't understand how tariffs work either, so it doesn't really matter. Connor says, I implore you both to watch the HBO series The Leftovers. It's criminally underwatched, and I feel you both would absolutely love it. Season 2 is regarded as one of the best seasons of TV ever. That's not true, but
sucked.
a lot of people do like The Leftovers.
Do you like The Leftovers?
I've watched a couple episodes of it. I couldn't get into it. I didn't. But my thing is this: I watched it, and it was during a time where I'm like, I don't want to get into another series that I know is going to never answer the question of what the fuck happened. You know what I mean? Like suddenly, all these people are just like everyone's gone, and all these people are left over on the planet, and there's people that don't talk. And I'm like, I don't. This is a smoke monster all over again. I don't want to know what's going. I want to know what the fuck's happening on the island, and I don't want to wait till season 7 to figure out that there. Spoilers. It's a fucking terrible ending. So I can't get into that. I got too many things like that. I got The Walking Dead. That's the only series I can stomach right now where I'm never gonna know what's happening, right? Also, not a big fan of Justin Theroux. I don't know why. He just rubs me the wrong way. Maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe I'm on the side of Jennifer Aniston, not him.
I'm yawning. My belly's exposed.
There it is. Let me touch it. City Vicious says, today Colin was right is a shining example of the all too rare journalism happening in games media today. Your dedication to educating whilst entertaining, thank you for using whilst, does not fly under the radar. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Seems like it's getting very positive responses, which I appreciate.
Sorry, that word's whilst.
Whilst.
Isn't it Wilson?
Whilst.
No, it's not whilst. No one's ever said whilst before, Kevin. Whilst.
It's while still entertaining. Ben Gibson says, hey.
Thank you very much.
Your thoughts on the new retro consoles that you can play. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, your thoughts on the new retro consoles that you can play old NES, Genesis, SNES, etc. versus
Retcon.
just downloading the games on PC or buying the overpriced NES Classic system? K, thanks.
My thought. So the Retcon or Retron.
Also,
Retron.
you start
Retron.
sentences off with the word "What are your thoughts?" so that I know that at the end of it there's going to be a question mark. FYI, when you just start
What,
with your
why,
thoughts on the
how,
new
where, who?
your thoughts on the new retro consoles, I'm expecting the next phrase are stupid. Period. As a statement, an affirmative statement. Sorry, continue. But thanks, Ben.
So some of these all-in-one consoles, while of dubious legality, probably are super interesting. My brother has the Retron, and I was playing with his son Mega Man X2 and X3 and Mega Man 3 and 2 when I went home for Thanksgiving. And it's a really cool kind of device. My take on piracy, because that's what you're kind of talking about here, is this, and the availability of ROMs and all that. My take is this: if a game is, because I think this is a reasonable stance, if a game is available on a platform that is easily accessible. So, for instance, if you can get it on a virtual console on a Nintendo product, if you can download a PSN Classic or PS1 Classic, whatever, then I don't think you really should be downloading ROMs. If a game is just made completely unavailable for years and years,
Sure,
or decades, and it's just not available, then and the only way you can play it is on an emulator, then that's kind of like not your fault, you know? And not that you have a right to play it,
sure,
but you,
still illegal.
but to say, in other words, if you put your money where your mouth is and are like, I want this game, I want to play Phantasy Star 2, I'm going to go download it on Wii U because it's available via Virtual Console, as opposed to something obscure, then you're basically showing and doing the right thing and being like, when the game's available, I am happy to buy it.
Right.
Since the game is not available unless I go and buy a $100 cartridge and then dig up an old console, then I have no choice if I want to play the game than to play the ROM. And I think that that's totally a reasonable thing. I'm not saying it's legal, but I think it's reasonable. You know?
Fair enough. That was from Ben Gibson. Thank you for that tip, Ben. I was wrong. Quanar says, late birthday tax. Colin, your episode of Colin was right. Was incredible. Will the tariffs impact digital pricing? Could this cause a divide between digital and physical sales? Question mark.
Yeah, I didn't want to get, because I tried to put as little of myself into this as possible, because it was 20 minutes long, as it was. But so my take is that tariffs bring games up to $70, for instance, will push digital sales further, especially if the digital sales stay low. Mm-hmm. In other words, you know it's all bullshit if everyone's prices go up to $70, even on digital sales. So that reaction will tell you everything you need to know about the profit motive of the publishers. As my source says, the profits made by publishers are just not as big as people think. They're just not, especially when a game starts going to $40 and $30. For instance, at $40, let's talk about The Last Guardian.
Sure.
We were talking about how a $60 game, $12 goes to the person who's selling it, so your GameStops, your Walmarts, whoever. Then the other $38 goes to the publisher, right?
Split amongst the publishers.
If you're selling a game for $40, $12 still goes to GameStop. Now you're dealing with $28, whatever it is, or no, that's not right. 18. I don't know, whatever the math. A fraction of the price. I'm not a math. A fraction of the price.
We're not scientists.
So, but you still have to extract what you need to pay for out of that price.
Sure.
So if The Last Guardian is being sold for $40 and they're suddenly walking away with $28 in profit, then that money might not even be enough to cover their costs, because remember, that is also gross, not net. So they still have to pay taxes on it. Then they have to go pay the manufacturer, still another $5 off that. Then suddenly you're left with peanuts. If your game's selling for $20 or $30, the jig's up. You know? So that's why the games are sold at $60, and this also takes into in inflation and all that kind of stuff as well. So just things to consider on this particular mark. So I think that it could support the digital structure, as long as the digital structure isn't affected by the tariffs, because then you know that there's a bunch of bullshit going on as well. Well, digital sales, well, let me back up. I had an interesting conversation with a source that didn't make it into the video. He was saying that that there could be some sort of, like, we don't exist in this space, but it's conceivable that a game made in Japan, even though it's manufactured here, could still be considered tariffed because it is a product from overseas. So if
so they're not
Polyphony Digital
physically importing it, but they're
importing the data.
The data is coming.
So even if Technicolor makes the discs, Technicolor makes almost all the DVDs and Blu-rays you watch, for instance. Even if they make the disc, the argument might be able to be made, and I don't know if it's legal or not, I don't know if there is an argument to be made, that, well, that product is actually still foreign. You know?
Interesting.
So
now, could that not be applied to digital distribution then? I mean, does it have to be a physical good for it to be tariffed?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that could be the argument. If digital goods go up in price and then they point and say, like, actually, the tariff is at the point of exchange, not at the point of manufacturing.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense, though.
So it's not something that they ever had to really deal with, because the argument could be like, well, the book, like, if you're reading like Aristotle or something, like, well, that's not a good example because that's in the public domain. If you're reading like just a Russian author,
right,
and then the book's published here in English, is it a foreign good?
Interesting.
I don't think so, but the argument was being made that that's possible. So
more importantly, how do we stop 50 Shades of Grey from happening? That's the more important question. We have to stop the proliferation of that. Mr. Yasman300 says, Nick, what's the status, gives a nice tip and said, what's the status of Bongos, the movie starring The Rock and Kevin Coelho? Also, have a video for your fun clip section, Neighborhood Fireworks Fail. That movie, the project, again, as I've said, for 13 days straight, not in the works. We are not trying to make that film. It's a great idea, and I have no doubt that if we were to put The Rock on it, it would sell well, because The Rock just can make anything he wants, and it's good, and it'll sell well. Kevin, on the other hand, will just, he's withholding the bongos.
90s trailer, the trailer guy to do the commercial?
Yeah, we sure can.
One
man, one belly, two hands, bongos. Dar King says, hey, Colin and Nick, really enjoy the content recently. Nick, you and Kevin were so funny in the Wildlands Let's Play. Colin, love your latest. Colin was right. Sorry about the divisive people out there. Well, there's always going to be divisive people out there. You just got to push through them and not listen to the noise. And thank you very much. Kevin spent a lot of time working on that Wildlands Let's Play. A lot more time, but thank you for enjoying that. And for those of you who haven't seen it, it's over on Kind of Funny Games right now. Go check it out on our YouTube channel. It's very, very cool. A few more tips. Mario Chasm says, how often do you all eat at home? You seem to always eat out somewhere. It makes me think of how much you spend on restaurants a month.
I stay straight eating out.
I spend a fuck ton of money on eating out. It's upsetting.
I also spend money on restaurants.
I actually like to cook. I actually like cook at home pretty often, but I'm often in flux and in transit between my place and Aaron's place. So I eat out far more often than I would like, but that's just the reality of the situation. I couldn't have imagined 10 years ago that I didn't have any money at all to be able to eat out like this.
Right.
But I do it, and it's not good for your health, and it's. But there are also times where your time is money. Also, if you're buying ingredients for a thing that you're not going to use for anything else, you could be wasting money making food. So you have to be very thoughtful and deliberate about that.
It's very true. I usually eat breakfast and dinner at home, but I enjoy the break during the midday to actually go out with the guys and hang out and have fun. That's why I eat the expense of the lunches. It's just fun. Also, having worked at IGN for so long where people would work through lunches, it was like a point of pride for me to be like, I'm going to stop working right now. We're all going to go have a lunch, hang out together, and then come back with our heads cleared.
Yeah, at IGN, I liked our weekly lunch that we would go to every Wednesday. I want to say.
I was not part of these lunches.
No, you weren't. You were not even at the embryonic state of this company,
You were
unfortunately.
just a sperm in my
was-
gonads.
There was a point where you guys will start having lunches and I was helping.
Yeah.
I just like to insult you that. I like to, you're like, you just missed the very
you're doing
genesis,
great.
though, of it.
No, you're doing great. It was really funny. I enjoyed it.
Rod K64 says, Colin, regarding the Switch, what would you think if Nintendo used their My Nintendo reward system as an achievement/trophy system, where you could actually buy discount stuff with your games rewards?
So I've actually made this argument, and I think it's a really salient kind of thing. Like, the way Nintendo should have done achievements or trophies, and they could have, and they're clearly not going to, what it doesn't look like, is to really monetize in some way your achievement in those games. If they really were thoughtful and deliberate about it, went and gave all of their virtual console games of first and third party provenance a trophy or achievement system and locked that into an ability to get money in your wallet, maybe little fractions of money so you don't get crazy with it. But that gives you a reason to go back and download Super Mario 3 and then get all the achievements, because then maybe you get $5 for that. And you go buy the next game. And that would create people would say like they would lose money, but I don't think so. Like, I think people's eyes are bigger than their stomach, and that like they'll buy these games and be like, I'm gonna fucking net all the money, and then they won't, and then Nintendo will be like, well, they actually maybe even made money on doing something.
Probably.
Like this.
That's not a bad concept.
So I always wanted Sony to do something like that, where to be like, if you get a platinum trophy, you get $5. But because there's no, something small, it's not just $5. I mean, you wipe your ass for $5, who cares? But it's like something to say like, oh, we'll just put $5 in your wallet. Congratulations for getting a platinum trophy.
Right.
But then there's all I am Mayo or all that, whatever those games are with the easy plats that ruin it, because there would need to be some quality control. And as we all know, Sony doesn't give a flying fuck about quality control. So
there you go.
So that's what hinders that ability.
Fascinating concept, though. Tetris Effect says, "Hey boys, hope you're doing well today. I think you guys, especially Colin, will appreciate this video. Wish I had half as much talent as this dude." He gave us there's a video for that, Kevin. Let's copy that. We'll get to that if we can. Hugo C. Guerrero says, "Thanks so much." Gave us a nice tip and said, "Thanks so much for this week's. Colin was right. It was the most positive and constructive opinion video about this topic. You just made my day. Thanks and love from London." Mike KL Pistol says, "Please welcome a new kind of funny best friend of the world, Aria Elizabeth Pistella, born with a Vita in her hands. Love you guys."
Speaking of Vita, Lola was going to be here today. I don't want to let anyone down, but Lola, until the very last minute, was supposed to be here today.
Now, Lola, as we all know, is the head of the SS for Vita Island. She is the one that's going to basically...
We don't call them the SS on
No. We don't call them the SS. We call them...
The secret police, right?
Mm-hmm. We don't call them...
They're the SP.
They're the CC, the secret police. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Terrifying. The worst things come with the cutest faces. You understand that, right?
Yes.
She gets away with murder because she's adorable.
She's ridiculous.
You can't say no to her. We're like, well, I guess you can kill that person. Whatever. The first was Porn, has given us a tip and said, "Great show today, guys. Colin and Greg Live is my second favorite live stream I've watched in the last 5 minutes." Thank you for that underhanded remark.
I'll take it.
I'll take it, yeah. Jintaki45 says, "I want to apologize for my stupid comment yesterday calling Kevin boring. Don't apologize for that. He's not boring, but you disparaged him, and that made my day."
I also don't forgive you.
Yeah, doesn't matter. He's fun. Shredberg has given us a tip and says, "Colin, what are your thoughts on Double Dragon 4 so far? Also, 311, was an inside job." Colin already gave his thoughts earlier.
Yeah, Double Dragon 4 is not good at all. But there's a little piece of nostalgia there as well.
There you go.
It's so funny because when you play a game like Mega Man 9 or 10 that's built on the aesthetic of a great game, and then you play Double Dragon that's built on the aesthetic of a good game or a mediocre game, it's night and day. Maybe Double Dragon doesn't hold up anymore. I don't know.
Few more tips. Mike_Lido_Rise says, "Here's a little of my birthday tax. Keep being awesome. Colin, keep being sexy. Nick, Kevin." Okay, keep being awesome, Colin. Nick and Kevin keep being sexy.
Oh, okay.
We're not awesome, we're sexy, but I'll take it. Sorry, you're awesome.
I'm also sexy.
Yeah. Not according
Got
to
them big nipples.
Mike_Lido_Riz. Junior People says, "There needs to be an amendment that Kevin gives us bongos in the kind of funny Constitution." It's not a bad idea.
I mean, it's going to be hard to pass that.
Our good friend Throw7 has given us a tip and says, "Colin, bravo on the new episode of Colin Was Right.
Thank you.
Exploring gaming through your political and historical lens is fascinating.
Thank you.
Please keep making this content." Notorious Bib says, "Colin, Would you consider not using all caps when displaying quotes on Colin was right? It would make it easier for the viewer to read along with their own head. Yeah. Keep up the great work.
So Nick was actually the one kind enough to even show me how to do that, and that was the format we made. I thought it looked fine, but I haven't heard this complaint, so I'll keep an eye on it, but I don't know that that's necessary.
We can take a look at it. The problem is I think that font is all caps.
No, that's fine. I mean, I this is the first I've even heard of that piece of feedback, but I have not also read almost anything about what people are saying.
Right. I'm happy to switch the font out if that becomes a problem.
So we'll see, but I thought Nick's solution was quite good. So I think we'll probably keep with it, but we'll see.
Cool. Panzer G2 says, Colin, need to thank you for the Strider recommendation, excuse me. Such a great game. Secondly, Nick, everyone who has ever and will ever meet you want to see you sex tape. Be a man of the people.
He got you.
I mean, okay. But the problem is this. I'm only having sex with one person these days, clearly my wife. And that only happens very rarely, usually Sundays around 4 p.m. if you guys want to come over. My wife will never let me record that intimate moment between us. For a number of reasons, not the least of which is because she knows I'm irresponsible and probably post it on some level. So as much as I'd like to have there be a sex tape, I need a willing participant. Otherwise, you're just going to see me masturbating on camera, which if that's what you guys really want to see. But I'm going to do it nasty, like with my legs up, so you can see all of me.
Oh, man.
All of me.
Oh, dear God.
I want a hand off screen that's kind of tickling, not the ass, but getting real close.
Oh, getting real close.
Like kind of on the edge of the grundle where it's like...
yes.
It's tantalizing.
And it's got to be just oiled up down there so the hair kind of sticks to the legs in a real sweaty looking nasty. It's never going to happen. Sorry. But thank you for the tip. Songo B says, greetings. Seeing as Sony and Microsoft have stores worldwide, can you see them moving console sales to these and Amazon in an attempt to cut physical media, which, i.e. GameStop, wouldn't support?
Things are, let's just say this, the politics between the retailers and the hardware manufacturers are going to get really interesting because per the point we were making about money spent, the impetus is on the hardware manufacturers and the publishers to get them out of the game as quickly as possible. And again, as you said, and we've said many times, the only reason that they're placated at all is because they need to push hardware. At the point in which the software is removed, the hardware has to have a huge, I think hardware will get more expensive when that happens because for them to play ball when they're not selling software, which is a lot of money made. We're talking about 400 million pieces of software, I think, sold on PS4. That's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money. Even if they were all $10 games, that's a lot of money. So I think that the solution is going to come from one hardware manufacturer being bold enough to do it. And I would have in 2013 I said boldly and that these are the last pieces of hardware with drives, with like physical media drives on them. I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case now. Things have gone a little slower than I thought.
Yeah, me too. That's crazy.
And you don't want to alienate people yet, but eventually they're going to have to be alienated. If
it were Apple, they would have done it.
Yeah,
10
I
years
mean,
ago.
that's the way you do it with phones and tablets.
Yep.
That's the way you do it with PC. Why are consoles immune from this? It's just weird. I understand some of the excuses, but at the same time, I don't understand some of the excuses. And I think that this generation is also, I don't think, going to last very long. So remember that last generation lasted as long as it did from 2005 to 2013 because of the recession. Otherwise, there's no way in hell it would have lasted that long. And I think that point is lost on a lot of people. I think that you would have gotten new consoles way earlier, 2011, 2012, the latest. But the recession fucked everything up for everybody. So they had to pull back.
We have 4 more tips to read, and then we should call tips. No more tips, please, people.
You're calling him now.
Let's call him now. Let's call him right now so we can get. We have
It's like this.
This is this?
Yeah.
Is it this?
No.
Is
No.
this? Is
Nick,
which one?
why?
I don't understand. Well, I
Stop.
just saw your hands do something. Hail Colin. And I don't know what they did. Hail Colin. Gadzooks says, SO to Colin for his, I don't know what SO is, S-O. What does that mean?
What is it?
What is this?
Shout out.
Oh, shout out to Colin for his love of Fair to Midland. Love them.
Great band.
Curious as to his opinion on System of a Down. I feel like he'd find their line, my cock is much bigger than yours. Relatable. Hashtag Event Horizon.
I like the first few System of a Down records. The obviously Toxicity was I think their second record, which is great. The one with Sugar on it that came before, I can't remember the name of that record. And then the one after that, which was Steal This Album, right, with Intervision on it. I liked those 3 records. After that, when they got a little weird for me. That double album they released was good. Fair to Midland's fucking awesome though. If you guys don't, Fair to Midland fucking rocks.
Is that a band?
Great band. Holy shit.
Sounds like an indie film, by the way. Fair to Midland.
They're a Texas-based like hard indie rock band. Really. They broke up, but they're really like super fucking good.
Check them out on Spotify if they're there.
Yeah,
If
they're
not, Go fuck yourself.
I think they went bankrupt, actually, if you read about them.
Really?
Yeah.
Too much cocaine?
I think they just ran up a bunch of debt as a band. And then that was the end.
What star just did? Oh, I guess Johnny Depp's in that problem. Did you read about that?
Yeah, I heard he had like 14 houses or something like that.
Fucking fascinating article that came out 2 days ago. I'm just absolutely fascinated with that because I can understand. There's part of me that understands that. Part of me says, "Fuck it, let's spend as much money as possible. Let's live splurge." But then there's the other part of me that grew up with a hardcore Italian mother who was pinching every single penny that she. My mom has the first penny she ever made, guaranteed it. So I'm like, how do you lose that much fucking money? Why do you need 15 houses? I would
live so lean if I was a rich and famous millionaire or something like that. Like I would have a nice house and some accoutrements and some luxuries, but I'm not gonna I don't need all of this shit. I want that money so I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, the only extravagant thing I would have one of these screens in my house that had my bank account number in it. And watch it going up as I would slowly stand in front of it naked like Sam Rockwell from Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, just slow jerking off to it all fucking day. To the point where my wife's like, I'm literally leaving you. My bags are packed because you won't leave from that spot. And I would just be like, I would just look up and think, millions.
Gonna go down by half though.
That's true, you're about to lose half.
Knowing my wife, that's more than that. Swamp Fox 343 says, pay my annual birthday tax. Keep up the good work, gents. Captain Geach 36 says, Colin, what's your favorite Mega Man 3 level song? Besides Wily Stages, I'm partial to Shadow Man. I agree. It's the best video game ever made. No contest.
Wily Stage 1 is the best song, but and I think the best Mega Man song, period. Super underrated. Out of all the stages,
is that the one that goes beep 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 beep?
That's Castlevania. That's Castlevania. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I like Top Man's. Probably. I think would be really good. By the way, shout out to Mega Man 4 Brightman.
Damn.
Brightman's music is fucking rad. Also, shout out to Mega Man 6 Flame Man. Check out those songs as well.
And final tip for the day. Thank you very much. Gamer versus Girlfriend. GF says, I've already seen the latest Colin was right playing on 2 PCs here at Blizzard. I'll be waiting until tonight when I can really pay attention. Congrats on creating something that clearly resonates. Congrats. And that is it for the tips. We were calling tips.
No more tips.
We have a few more news stories. They're not really of any consequence, but we can go through them very quickly. Sure, why not? First news story is fun. The debate, or the war between our venerable president and our would-be president, Arnold Schwarzenegger, continues, as you know. I don't know if you saw the story. Of course you did. It was some sort of prayer meeting or something. It said, let's all pray.
Prayer breakfast, I think, yeah.
Prayer breakfast. Let's all pray for the ratings for Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Apprentice. To which Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay, not to be outdone, the Oak, the Australian Oak, has fired back. I need to open the story first before I say something. In a tweet.
You want to just watch the video?
I'll just read the quote. It's much more funny, and I'll read it as Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hey, Donald, I have a great idea. Why don't we switch jobs? You can take over TV because you're such an expert in ratings, and I can take over your job so the people can finally sleep comfortable again. Give the people what they want, Cohagen. Give them the fucking air. I added that last part.
You are constitutionally ineligible.
But that doesn't matter. I would legit vote for Arnold. That would be like, be damn the Constitution, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We can't amend that out of the Constitution because then we're gonna have
Putin
some
can be
fucking
president.
Fanatic from another country come here and run it.
Putin just comes over and is like, I'm in, finally, motherfuckers. Anyway, I think this is.
Putin sounds.
I think this is funny.
I don't know how Putin sounds.
How do you? I haven't heard Putin speak ever.
I haven't heard Putin speak.
It's always overlaid with fucking someone speaking English.
Yeah, but they still you still have him in the background usually.
You know Putin's a badass in judo?
No.
He's a black belt in judo. He's a bad motherfucker.
In judo, huh?
Yeah. Also rides horses bareback. I mean, shirtless and bareback for all I know. Anyway, I thought that was just funny. This is an interesting thing yet again our fine president is doing for no reason, picking fights with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's a fucking idiot.
Because he has nothing better to do than talk shit about his own show.
Don't understand how this can possibly continue.
It just goes.
But it's going to continue. We all know it's going to continue. So
the good news is it gives me a reason to be terrified and wake up every morning scared for my family and my friends. The story right above that, Kev, I don't know if you could open that up or not, is the Batman script rewrite story. This is posted over on IGN.
Hold on a second. Sorry, I didn't know you added one.
Yeah, sorry. This is a quick aside. This was from yesterday. Alex Osborne writes, following the news that Ben Affleck is officially no longer on board to direct the Batman, it has been revealed that screenwriter Chris Terrio has rewritten the film's script according to Deadline, a rewrite of the initial cut, which was penned by Ben Affleck of the DC Comics and DC Comics chief creative officer Jeff Jones, has been turned in by Terrio. Terrio wrote the screenplay for Argo, which earned him an Oscar. He also co-wrote last year's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, with David Goyer, and wrote the screenplays for both upcoming Justice League movies. Justice League was off of stories that he developed with Zack Snyder. So no surprise here. This is probably just what happens. People get rewritten all the time, which is what generally leads to the ultimate calamity that is the DC universe right now. So we'll see how this one.
And then we'll have to deal with Greg saying how great it is.
Yeah. So far, this movie is not looking. It's not looking promising.
Get
Although I do agree with some of Ben Affleck's rationale for not wanting to direct and be in the movie at the same time. I can understand that that's probably very difficult to do when it takes you like 6 hours to get into the costume. So I get that. We'll see what happens.
It takes him 6 hours to get into the costume?
I don't know. I just made that number up. But that was one of his gripes that I read earlier on for why he didn't want to necessarily do it. Because it's so with Argo he could just sit down and direct, but with the costume he literally has like this. I don't know. Did it? I couldn't see. Was everything good?
Nick,
I can't turn my head.
We were so close to getting shots of Batman sitting in a director's chair directing.
Could have been cool. I mean, this is a sad thing with this. I love Ben Affleck, despite Ben Affleck, and I like him as Batman despite himself. And I think he's a really, really, really competent director. He's a phenomenal. I think the argument can be made that he's a much better director than he is anything else, as far as his talents are concerned. So it's unfortunate, but whatever. I'm sure they'll bring in someone just as equally competent to drive this movie into the ground. Next story, or last story, which is fascinating, is something that we're probably going to have to hear a lot more about, or going to hear a lot more about, whether we like it or not, up until the end of February when the Oscars happen, is now, if you remember, Colin, last year, the big kerfuffle with the Oscars was Oscars so white, hashtag Oscars so white, because a lot of people, and you could argue rightfully so, we're saying there's lack of diversity in Hollywood right now.
Now they're doing Oscars so aight, right? Because everything's cool?
What's that?
Everything's cool at Oscars so aight.
Yeah. One day we strive for that. In our country.
Pretty good, right, Kevin?
That was good. That was a good joke. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
But no, this is over on the Hollywood Reporter writes, the new hashtag is Oscars so male? ? Lack of female nominees highlights another industry problem. This is by Daniel Downey.
Identity politics are fun.
This is a long article. I'm going to paraphrase. They're saying there's a lack of diversity as far as women are concerned in the categories of cinematography, writing, and directing, and there is. So look into this article for yourself. Make your own opinion. I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment on this. I think there is a diversity problem in Hollywood, and I think that it should be brought to light. As to whether or not it should be brought to light continually through the Oscars is another question altogether. I don't know why the Oscars keeps taking the brunt for this. But I guess because it is the fulcrum point, because it is the highest accolade any actor can get, it is a rightful target. So go read this over in the Hollywood Reporter and form your own opinion of it.
Oscars so aight.
Oscar, we should start that. Oscars, but not like you said it. It's got to be like Oscars, aight. So aight. You know what I mean? Like, could be better, could be worse. Oscars.
This is the thing I was saying. I believe in meritocracy, and I believe in supporting a creator in this instance that has the merit to be nominated based on what they've done. So if the entire nominee list, for instance, of Best Director is all women, all black women, let's say, that's fantastic. If it's all white men and they did the best job, then that's the way it's got to be. Like, it has to be based on merit. This was the argument we were saying last year about Oscar so black, or Oscar so white rather, with Will Smith for Concussion. His performance in that movie sucks. Like, I don't even understand I watched that movie sucks. Like, the other people that just get him in there because he's black.
Right.
I don't understand this particular argument. I think it counterbalances getting to a place of complete equality through merit, because then no one will have a problem with that. It's respected as opposed, because then someone will always question, right? Well, you got here based on, why would you want that particular outlook? You know what I mean? I think it's dangerous, and I think it actually maintains a concrete stance that you have to keep doing stuff like that, as opposed to letting everything, met out the way, in this case, the talent will allow.
I see both sides of it. I see both sides of it because Hollywood is, to play devil's advocate, Hollywood is an old institution that's predominantly run by old white men. Especially when it comes to the Academy Award voting, right? And there's a lot of that. A lot of those articles came out last year of like a majority of the people that vote don't even work in Hollywood anymore. They're just kind of grandfathered in because they worked maybe in the 50s or 60s, and they're still voting for as many white men as humanly possible. So I get that that's a valid argument, and I also understand that not all progressive thinking happens in a manner that's merit based, right? Sometimes you have to kind of say, hey, this is happening. And there's a level of shame that should go along with this, and maybe you should broaden your thought processes when if you're a filmmaker and you're directing something, maybe, or you're producing something, maybe you should cast a little bit of a wider net,
tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, that's an Oscar-nominated performance right
there. And I'm fine with that. And again,
not
There are a lot of amazing directors that are female and a lot of amazing DPs that are female, and so hopefully this will cause a little bit of change, or at least when people are thinking about you're funding a movie, you're a producer, and you're looking for that DP, or looking for that director, or you're a director looking for a DP, cast a wider net.
Here's what I'm saying. This is an example of progressives turning on progressives. There is no more progressive industry in the United States than Hollywood. And if they think that they're racist and sexist, then there's a big fucking problem with the way they're going about businesses. I guess that's kind of like my big takeaway. Sure. Not everything is racist and not everything is sexist or motivated by race or gender. Sure. It's just not. I don't care that I'm a white man. I can say that. I will continue to say, by the way, whatever I want as a white man. But I just feel like we're finding issues that don't need to be spoken. Like they're just divisive issues that bring us apart, that cause us to argue, that bring spotlights on things where, like in the dark corner somewhere, where everyone's like, is this really a problem? Mm-hmm. Is this really a fucking problem? So we have to have the equal amount of races represented in the Oscars, the equal amount of gender, 50% male, 50% female. There might be 10 females on the sidelines that should have been nominated for something, but you gotta get the males in there. Sure. And I'm like, well, okay, that's just so strange to me.
It's interesting. I do see both sides. I mean, you look at these charts that they're talking about, like cinematography, for instance. There has never been a female nominated for Best DP. Now, again, you could argue that that's predominantly a man's job, and men have just been doing that job for a very long time. But I think that the whole point behind this is not to necessarily say, hey, we need to go out there and find the one woman that shot a film and nominate her. I think it's more about encouraging women to get into that trade and to encourage men to recognize that. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. It's unfortunate that the Oscars keeps taking the brunt for this, because it's not the Oscars' job to retroactively go back. Like the Academy, it's not their job to retroactively go back and say, wait a minute, Arrival, you shouldn't have had a male DP, you should put a female DP in there or give her a chance. It's not their job. They just keep taking the shit of this every single time, and I guarantee here's what's going to happen. They're going to give another speech talking about how, yes, this is a problem, we should change it, and then next year it's just going to be something else. But I guess...
Also, doesn't Hollywood realize that anything they say politically just doesn't matter? At this point, like
it does in the industry.
But it's that little echo chamber. Everything they say, everyone's like, why are you even like? We don't care what you think. They're
the tip of the progressive spear, and I
Nick,
get that.
Quick question: is it more diverse this year? Like
that is a question I don't know. I'd have to look at the categories. I'm sure it is, but I don't know. Again, I'm sure this is probably going to take a lot of the space up in the argument or in the room for whatever the newest controversy is. I don't know. I'd have to look at that. I just based on this article, they're talking specifically about women. So, again, I don't know. I think that's the last news story I have. Yes, that's the last news story I have. We do have don't worry about the giant bat creature that was going to be in Batman v Superman. You guys can go look at that.
Let's see it.
You want to see it? There was supposed to be a giant bat creature in one of his in one of Bruce Wayne's dreams. You can look at it right here. This is what it was going to look like. That almost made it into the movie.
Remember when we were watching the movie in the theater together, and that scene when he gets lifted up by the bats out of the well, and I started laughing?
You audibly were like, what a god, and you started laughing.
It was so bad. That movie sucks.
It's not good.
Oh, I really believe, Greg's not the smartest man in the world, but he's not a stupid man.
He's pretty smart.
He's not a stupid man.
He's not dumb.
I feel like he's fucking with me and all of us with this movie. Like it's a long con,
I think
there's no way he thinks this movie.
I think it's threefold.
No way.
I think one, he enjoys fucking with everyone. I think that there is a component of that. I think two is that he's invested so much into the DC world that he won't allow himself to be that disappointed with it. You know what I mean? Like he's indoctrinated into that world so deeply.
It 5 times in the theater.
And then 3,
it's so weird.
Like with friends and stuff.
And 3, he's just a twisted idiot. I don't know what else to say. You know what I mean?
You think his plane's gonna go down and he's gonna end up on the island when he tries to come back?
I think we would have known. I think they landed already.
When he tries to
That's technically LAX to Sydney. This is SFO to Sydney.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's not the
different.
same route.
No, I told him if that happens, he has to tell us what the smoke monster is when he comes back.
It was not real.
The smoke monster?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a defense mechanism that they could launch.
It wasn't a machine.
No, it was all in purgatory. So.
Good point.
Like what we predicted after the first episode, and then they lied about it for 7 years, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, it's exactly what you fucking thought."
Like Nintendo did with the Wii U production.
Do you remember? There was a video when I was in college. Before it was like early, I'm gonna see if
Are we doing this video real quick?
Yeah, do whatever you gotta do.
Go find the video. This is a cool upcoming. This says big game spot. I assume that means Super Bowl spot because they're not allowed to use the word Super Bowl without getting sued, right? Is that a thing?
Is that a thing?
I think that was the thing I remember hearing last year, but they have to call it the Big GameSpot because Super Bowl's trademarked. Let's watch this real quick. This is for the up-and-coming Ghost in the Shell film. The reason I pulled this up was because I think it's really, really cool. They have a lot of shots in this that mirror the original Ghost in the Shell. I think it's cool. Let's watch it real quick.
Wait, pose funny. This is gonna be the. Hold on. No. There you go. Okay.
Cool. Roll the clip.
Give me a second.
Roll the clip.
They did not save your life. They stole it.
Now, I like this because, this movie got a lot of shit, of course, another big controversy of
Which
whitewashing.
I think is a little more reasonable.
It's a little bit more reasonable
Since
to
it's a
argue
Japanese
that.
woman.
Fair enough. But what I like about this is it really, when you think back to the original Ghost in the Shell, there are a lot of touchstones in this that I think resonate with me. They're clearly trying to at least do that movie justice. They're not trying to remake it in a new style. You can hear, for instance, the music they're using is very similar to the music that was in Ghost in the Shell, which is that sort of like Japanese chanting, which is really, really cool. So I have high hopes for this. Despite the controversy behind it, I will be seeing this movie. I love that shot right there. That is so cool. That's
Well,
so
they can't
clearly.
see it. They can't see it. Right
Oh,
now.
they can't see it, but that's so clearly taken just from that original, the first scene of Ghost in
But
the
for
Shell.
the people saying nips and like band,
Just in a skin suit.
You know
Deal
what?
with it.
You want to ban us from Twitch? Just get it over with already.
no,
We won't do the show anymore, okay?
They're never going to ban us. We are, true story, we're the #1 morning news show on Twitch.
That's.
We're number one.
We are #1. Just like we're the #1 PlayStation podcast.
I mean,
#1
can
gaming
we
podcast.
say we're the #1 talk show?
I mean, yeah, sure. We're the #1, definitely talk show. Can't say show. For sure, can't say that.
Not even close.
But we're close. We're close.
You didn't hear me. I said it's not even close.
Kevin, bring up this next fun clip section. This is not a clip. This is a tweet. I can't remember why I pulled this up.
Give me a second.
Oh no, let's watch this. What is this? This is a neighborhood fireworks fail. This is from Mr. Yasman300. Thank you so much for the tip. Let's watch this real quick. Give it to us.
Go.
Give it hard.
Hold on. It's not.
Give it
that
hard. That was amazing.
easy. I kind
Kevin,
of
can
want
we
to
see that again?
Yeah.
Can we see that one more time?
America!
Fuck yeah, dude. God bless idiots, man. You guys make the world go round. Thank you. Thank you for having kids. Kevin, do we have another clip?
We do indeed.
Let's watch it.
This was submitted by someone.
No, wait. Does this have Tears for Fears in it?
Yeah, well,
We're-
it's a cover of Tears for Fear.
Okay, because we might get dinged on that. Tears for Fears is kind of a
If
popular
it's
band.
too close, we're gonna stop it.
All right. This is from Ted Yoder.
Oh, I've seen this. This is awesome.
That's awesome.
It's also on Facebook, I think. It's amazing that he gets the melody. This was Steve.
What is that instrument?
I have no idea.
You want me to like skip around or?
No, this is awesome. I don't know why he's adding an extra 2 beats to it.
Yeah, that's
annoying
that.
the shit
I
out of
noticed
me.
that too. Yeah.
I don't get that. Pause this. Kevin, everyone should go watch this. This is really, really cool. It's despite the fact that this guy doesn't understand 4/4 time signature, which is annoying to me. He just went 6/4
Yeah.
halfway in the middle for no reason.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, and I tried to listen to the because I love people out there. I fucking love Tears for Fears, one of my favorite bands. And I was listening. I'm like, why? I noticed that as well. I'm glad you noticed that. I'm like, there's an extra half of a measure basically.
Yeah, that's weird.
But I went back and listened. I'm like, am I just missing the component of the composition?
No, he just
And I don't
added-
think I am though.
No, he just added it
because I'm
in there.
singing it in my head as it goes, and I'm behind a half a measure.
It's entirely possible he added that in there so he doesn't get like some sort of copyright strike, but I don't know. That's really cool though. Either way, that whatever instrument that is fucking awesome, and that sounds rad. I'm sure he's done more cover. Check out what is it? Ted Yoder.
Ted Yoder.
Check him out. And the final clip for today, which is not a clip, it is a fun tweet from one Mr. Edgar Wright. If you haven't heard of him, you're living under a rock, and delete your Twitter. He says, "Reminder: this film is set in 2017."
That's awesome.
That's The Running Man,
That's so awesome.
and that's very close to the world we're living in right now. Very close.
No, not literally
Really close.
true.
We're about a year away from Donald Trump making all of us fight each other to the death. Just want you to know that. But I'll tell you one thing right now. I'm getting in shape. I'm going to look fucking awesome in that yellow jumpsuit. Yellow. Not a traditionally good looking color that people look good in. Neither is the quiltedness of it. It just adds thickness to you.
You just power through that statement.
Oh, my brain broke halfway through.
Yeah, no, I know.
And I was
You're
like,
just like,
here's what
fuck.
happened.
You're gonna get
I said
it.
yellow, comma, and then I thought Los Metates. And then I went off on that tangent. And then I heard quilting and not good. And then I thought how fat I would look. Because I have this level of dough around my stomach that I'm trying to get rid of.
tell
That
me
just
about
won't
it.
go away. And it's just like,
It's a fucking tire. Mine. I'm not talking about yours.
literally the other day, I'm still doing the jujitsu pretty heavily these days.
Height.
Height, not really something we do. There's two types of jujitsu. There's gi and no gi. No gi means you just don't wear the big thick uniform, big thick kimono, but you have to wear like more skin tight things so that when you roll around, people can't grab hold of it. So I went and bought a rash guard the other day, and what's called spats. These are like leggings that women would wear, right? And I walked out in it, and I took one look at myself, and I'm like, I'm not doing no gi anymore. I'm not doing this until I can actually get in shape, because it went like this: decent shoulders, tiny little waist, and then fat, just a roll of fat. It looked like I had blown up one of those inner tubes, put it on, and then stretched the rash guard over it. And the guy at the store, by the way, nothing more intimidating than buying a skin-tight rash guard in a fucking fight store, where the guy that's working behind the desk has cauliflowered ears and is jacked and is just like, he just shook his head at me and was like, "Brother, this is not your
Just
your
points to the
sport."
door.
He just take this shit off, purify it with fire, and get the fuck out of my store. Colin.
Yeah.
As you know, every day here on Colin and Greg Live,
Oh, yeah, we haven't
we
given
like
anything away yet.
we like to give away something. How do you enter to win this giveaway, Colin? Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to tell him?
No,
you tell him.
no.
I like when you tell him. You're better at this than I am.
Is it the same as it used to be?
No,
Or we have
you-
new rules.
I
Because
think-
I've only done the show like 4 times since we changed
The
it.
rules now are we're not giving away anything on Friday anymore. Now we're giving
Well,
away.
that I
code.
know we're giving. So let me try.
code every day.
Let me
Go
try.
ahead.
Let me try.
Go ahead, get into it.
So you were afraid of
Friday.
getting our garbage for some reason.
Yeah, we just started giving away garbage 15 weeks late. You would get it maybe sometime in 2018.
So we give away. We have great access to PR.
We do.
At the devs and publishers. We get a bunch of codes. We give one away a day. That frees us up from having to ship things that you don't want, and you get more prizes out of us as well. And the way you used to be able to do it is you have to be in the chat, or you can be a subscriber or a patron.
Now you can be yes. Any of these
See,
ways.
I knew it all.
Yeah, you can be. Here's the deal. You can be in the chat. You can be a subscriber of us. If you're a subscriber and you're not in the chat, you're not watching, you're automatically entered to win. You can also support us at the $2 or above tiers on either of our Patreons. So patreon.com/kindafunny or patreon.com/kindafunnygames, which, by the way, you used to be able to, if you're a Patreon supporter, you can see Kinda Funny live too. I don't know when is that going live, Kevin, for everyone?
On
still
the
behind the wall?
6th. On the 6th.
So you have 5 more days to see that, or you can wait 5 days.
4.
And 4 more days to see that, or you can just wait 4 days.
No, you're right. Wait, no. I'm
No,
right.
it's
All right,
the
that's
second you're
enough.
right for. It doesn't
All
fucking
right.
matter. Doesn't matter. So, that in mind, we will be giving away today 2064 ROM, the game. Kevin, can you play the trailer for this while we talk about it?
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a good call.
Beep, 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 you know what I like?
Some
You
good
brought-
voices in that game.
You brought up the showdown, the showcase
Showdown, yeah.
Remember how they'd always be like this? And what's behind door number 1? New car.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep,
Yeah, oh, the music's awesome.
God, never changed it.
No.
For the longest time, for all I know, it's still the same music. And they're just reanimating Bob Barker behind Drew Carey the entire time. It's like, I'm still
Bob Barker,
alive.
Drew Carey ate Bob Barker in order to assume his soul.
He just assimilated his soul. So we're giving away this one lucky winner, and today's winner comes from Twitch. The random generator said Twitch, and it's Melty_Drail. Yeah! You'll be getting a Steam key, game key for this game. So
It
hopefully
was sent just moments ago.
check your messages on Twitch. If you don't get this, if you're not watching the show right now, you're like, why did I get this game? Because we love you. That's why. P.S. We love you. XO. Also a great podcast. That's it, Colin. Should we talk to some people in the chat?
Let's do it quick. 3 and 3, as I used to like
3
to
and
say
3.
on Colin and Greg Live. We'll do 3 regular questions, 3 sub questions. So let's queue up your questions, comments, and concerns, and we'll talk to you briefly. We'll read some subs, and then I'm gonna go eat a fucking
ever
burrito.
saying 3 and 3.
3 questions from non-subs.
We
3
did
questions
that
from
all the
subs.
time.
It's like
mean,
a
you
2
3
minute.
or 5 and 5. Yeah, we did.
I remember 5 and 5, but never 3.
Also,
like,
Chuck Woolery. 2 and 2.
Who was he from?
Love Connection.
Love Connection. Who hosts Wheel of Fortune? Pat something?
Pat Sajak. Pat Sajak still hosts it,
Pat Sajak still
as
a
far as
baller.
I understand.
I gotta be honest. Maybe we should do a topic on this, ranking the game show hosts, because
That's
I
a
really
great
feel
idea.
like Trebek has to be on top.
Depends. Here's the thing about
You know
Alex
what I mean?
Trebek. Here's the thing about Alex Trebek.
Maybe we should save this for GOG next week.
I just want to say this one thing about
You
him.
and I should do an exclusive episode of GOG for next month and just ranking this.
The thing that bothers me about Alex Trebek is that he acts as if he wrote all of the questions and knows all the answers.
He doesn't fucking know
He doesn't
shit.
know anything that
He doesn't
like
know shit,
You're
Alex
reading a cute. I just like how he's like.
Such
Oh
a
no!
pompous ass.
I'm like, come on, Alex. You didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to. All he has to do
He's
is this.
absorbed a bunch of information.
That's right. You're wrong, or you have to fucking form that for some dipshit reason. It has to be in the form of a question. That's all he ever says. Oh, I'm sorry. That is incorrect. That's correct. In the form of a question? What is Egypt? Nailed it. You're right. What an asshole. You know what they should have done? You know what they should have done more of, though, man? I'll tell you, the best skit on Saturday Night Live was when they did the Jeopardy parodies.
Oh, yeah,
those
that was
were always
great. That was
great. And Norm Macdonald as Burt Reynolds nailed it. Norm Macdonald. Then he went off the deep end. He's crazy. I heard he does a lot of cocaine.
Cocaine.
I don't know for sure. I just made that up. It's fine. It's 2017. Kevin. Los Metates. Another question. Did we take a question yet?
No, we didn't take
Okay,
it.
let's go into it.
4 Carrots recommends that we watch The Expanse, which I've heard good things about. It's based on a book series. I actually downloaded the first book and I read a little bit of it, but I hadn't got very far, and it's a sci-fi book. Thank you for the recommendation. I'll add that to the list. I still have to get through, The Path is back, which I fucking love. So I have to get through that. Colony's on, which I have to get through that. I got to get through The Crown, etc., etc., etc. Some good documentaries.
Crown you'll love.
Tomorrow, The Circus, the show I told you all to watch on Showtime, is releasing a full documentary on Showtime about Donald Trump and the upset, basically. And it's going to be fucking awesome. I can't wait to see it. Those guys are... John Heilemann, you're a G.
Fascinating.
Thanks for retweeting me that one time.
Real_Radic13 says, Colin or Nick, what were your thoughts on Arnold when he was governor of California? Was he any good at it?
I didn't live here. I was an intern here when Gray Davis was recalled, and no, that's not true, actually. I came back...
here.
No, I was here for 2 years or 3 years when he was... I don't remember it being anything. I remember the 2010 election with Jerry Brown and Meg Whitman. I voted for Meg Whitman, obviously. So I guess it was fine. I don't know.
I don't remember
California's
either,
kind of a fucking mess.
I was not really paying attention. I know at some point he was governor, and it was hilarious. That's all I know. Called him the governor. What's that?
It's funny, if you look at people's diplomas that graduated from UC schools during that time, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's signature on it.
Shit. When was he governor?
2004, 2005,
Yeah, no,
to
see,
2010.
mine was still gray. Because I graduated in 2002. That would have been dope, though.
Yeah, it's funny when I've seen that a few times. I'm like, that's awesome. Connor Tative says, Colin, Super Bowl score prediction. Falcons 31, Patriots 17. Falcons 31, Patriots 17.
Bold.
It's going to be I think it can be a very high scoring game. We'll see what happens. That doesn't really reflect my prediction, of course.
Cool.
Let's get into sub-only mode. Mods, if you can go into, you can do it there. Okay.
I think I could do it. Watch sub-only modes, I think is how you do it with the Z. Is that right? Sub, please.
No, I don't think that's going to do it.
Is that going to do it? Substation.
No, I don't know that.
No, is that not working?
That's not going to do it either.
Subscribe to me. Spelled wrong.
Jesus Christ. The hell does that say? It's Sanskrit.
Scribbit. Are we in sub-only mode yet?
I don't know. Let's just take sub
All
questions.
right, let's go.
Justin Time says, Colin, I watched Arrival last night. It was fucking gold. It really was. That's a great movie.
It's fucking awesome.
Very deep movie.
Anyone who doesn't like that movie it's because they're too superficial and not smart enough to understand it.
It is. I do think it is surprisingly deep.
I don't dislike the movie.
Oh, you know what?
You said you hate Tim, and you were like, it's too dark. We couldn't see it the entire
It is
time.
shot
Oh yeah,
very
no,
dark.
the lighting is terrible, and like I think that it was shot dark so that one scene with all the light could be more shocking. But
It was an
whatever.
artistic choice for sure.
It was a dumb choice. Also, the audio was like, the hell's going on with the sound? I don't know.
Nothing can hold a candle to the audio from Interstellar.
But that's 'cause
where
you-
they're talking like this, and then also like with that the fucking organ music.
Yeah.
You're like, why is it so fucking loud? And then Anne Hathaway was talking. It was so loud. It was so loud when I saw it in IMAX that my wife covered her fucking ears every time there was a song. She was like, why is it this loud? I watched it again on Amazon, and I shit you not, I had to ride the control because my wife was asleep, and I was like, you can't hear any of the dialogue, but then when the music sets it is deafening.
Do you want to choose one?
Another question?
Yeah, we need two
Sure.
more.
Guys, have you ever dealt with head injuries or known anyone who has dealt with them? If so, how long did it take for them to recover? I've never dealt with a head injury.
I've had concussions, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean that's a head injury. Yeah, I mean the problem is recovery. I don't think there's a lot of information out there. You may never recover. You don't know. Head injuries are very interesting, and as far as I know, not very well researched. Like there's a lot of research coming out about concussions, obviously the movie Concussion, all that stuff. Tell the truth. But you just don't know. So
Here's your Oscar,
Be
Will.
careful with your noggin. Be careful with your noggin.
Final question, we can get out of sub-only mode now, comes from Mr. Manager 0803, who says, Colin, I'm thinking of getting a drum kit for my daughter to learn on, or my daughters to learn on. What do I need to look into for a good basic kit? That's the thing, get a basic kit. So there's a lot of, in music generally, in musicianship, there's a lot put onto what you're playing on. So like, a good drummer will play on a good kit. I like playing on Tama, for instance. But my first drum kit was a Percussion Plus drum set, which you would never see in a band use or anything like that. It was a $400 or $500 5-piece kit. Snare drum, low tom, high tom, and floor tom, and bass drum. And then I had a hi-hat and a crash ride and a crash cymbal or something like that. All told, $700. Really basic Sabian A1 cymbals when I was a kid and all that kind of stuff. So get them something basic and see if they're good and they can play on that. It's perfectly reasonable. You're not going to notice much of a difference. And then if they're good, then you can really start investing in expensive equipment. For instance, like I invested in a piccolo snare when I was a teenager and all sorts of other things like that. Double bass pedals if that's what you're into. Better cymbals, which will get better resonance. Stuff like that. But start basic and start cheap and then work your way up. I just gave my first drum kit to my nephews. In Virginia, and
Glad. I'm sure Dagan's elated at that.
oh, it's Dana, my sister's, and she's
through the roof. Huh?
oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that was cool. It was a hand-me-down, and now they can, one of them is taking drum lessons, and now they can figure out on this kit if they can play, and then I'll invest and buy them a better, like a Tama or something like that, or a Pearl or whatever, and then if they like that, then you work your way up to the custom kits like Orange County and stuff like that. But you don't need to jump up that far. I hate when people think because they have nice instruments they can play.
Right.
I've seen people play on terrible drum kits that are way better than the person playing on the Orange County kit.
Sure.
So
Very
keep that in mind.
Despite having call tips, we have one last tip, which is from Gifted Dime 63. It says, "Hey guys, I'm brand new to subscribing to you, but keep up the good work. Excellent job. I try to watch you guys every day. P.S. 20-minute Colin was right. It was amazing. Thought you would like that to stroke your ego a little bit."
I do. I appreciate that. All right. Before we go, I'll read tips. If I read your name, you are a new sub or subs. If you read your name, you are a new sub or resub. We appreciate you very much here on Twitch.tv/KindofFunnyGames. Static X 2552, a reference, of course, to Wayne Static and Static X, the late 90s, early 2000s metal band. MG Pepinus, Jeffrey with 1F. Patty Santa, Surreal Gaming 1, Lotboy 16, Grumpy Manatee. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's a good one. Now we're getting back to where, remember, you need to strive for a placenta milkshake. You need to strive for walking, talking Stephen Hawking. Okay? Grumpy Manatee is getting there. Quantum Arbiter, Rayman SD91, Benefactor TV, M. Lopez 70 says, I love you, thank you. Mandarin Carnage, Sith Toast says 7 months hype. Elastic Corn, Untouchables, Hadouken, good, Untouchables, I like that. Working Gaming, subbed, Soup P-Boy, said 4 months strong, thanks for keeping me going, guys, you're very welcome. Emperor John 117, Johnny NYK, PLYER2, GYGO Official, Modern Monarch, Organic Produce, I like that one. Spinktacular, PL Year 2, Pit Injury, Monster Bard, Billy Bob McAfee, I don't know. He says sometimes I dream of you guys licking me on my stomach or whatever.
Cool.
Make sure to rub one out. Shredberg, John Bob Stab, Scummy Assassin, Edol94, Mr. Jib Jabber, Barb Ratty, Teddy Tag says 15 months well spent. Keep up the great content, guys. Dave Cowell says thanks for everything you guys do. Love all your content and hope to see you at Jesus Christ. Kind of Funny Live 3. Love from Ireland. Dave Cowell. Super Cool Tony. Says Platinum Gravity Rush 2 last night. There's a trophy called Event Horizon. Signed, Colin should play it. Gifted Dim 63, Drew Wizzle, Humming Tiger, Codesturb, Kiwi Jim says 12 months, it's 4 a.m. And Asafali just woken, I don't know what the fuck you're just saying. Marco Gaming _ Prax 150. Lil Dick McComes Quick.
There it is.
Now we're talking.
There it is. Come on, people. Know your audience.
Icky2047, Error Can't Be Shown, Paul Merge, FC Hager, Ostimea, I think it says, Nick, you big beautiful bastard, how do you groom that magnificent beard?
Carefully.
Celipram, Metal Fingers 1, and Fear Nick G. Thank you so much for subscribing here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Nick and I will be back tomorrow for more Colin and Greg Live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter, kindoffunnyvids. I'm at No Taxation. Nick is at Nick _Scarpino. Kevin is at kindoffunnykevin. Let's go to Los Matates. I need those onions that have been put in vinegar for a little while, and then I put them on the burrito with the salt. Cut the feed.